I hate driving, and here's why. Driving for me has gotten so much worse over the last 2 years that it now brings me mental turmoil every time I have to step into my stupid metal box. And I think it's primarily due to 3 glaring issues with the American transportation system. Pretty much all major freeways in the United States are plagued by traffic, especially if you're from California or Texas. And historically, our government's solution to this was just to make the freeway bigger. And that works for a while, until it doesn't. This is because of something called induced demand. I'm gonna pull up my computer for this, so it looks like I'm reading off of the thing. The phenomenon whereby an increase in supply results in a decline in price and an increase in consumption. Basically, the more lanes there are, the more people then want to drive on those roads, causing more congestion, which causes people to build more lanes, which causes more congestion. See the problem? And you might be asking yourself, what's the solution then? How do we solve traffic? That's a stupid fucking question because it's a simple answer. Get cars off of the road. Provide people with alternatives to driving and there will be less people on the roads. Because I know damn well if there was a viable alternative to driving to work, I would take it. I would rather sit on a bus or a train for an hour watching a movie or reading a book than sit in traffic for an hour. The freeway system is so fundamentally flawed and is by far one of the worst ways to transport large amounts of people in short amounts of time, second only to private jets. Sure, they're cheap and effective at large distances, but most people aren't traveling large distances on their daily commute. The average commute back and forth is only about 42 miles. But you know what is good at transporting large amounts of people in short amounts of time? Public transportation. Europe has had this figured out for 50 years at this point, and North America has still yet to catch up. It's crazy because we all want the same things: less traffic, shorter commute times, and cheaper transportation costs. But somehow, the automotive industry has brainwashed the American public and associated driving in cars with freedom. So that if anyone dares suggest another system, you are branded as a freedom-hating commie. Because these companies know that public transportation is a much better alternative to driving. If they were to allow public transportation to become commonplace, they wouldn't make as much money because nobody would buy their 2024 Ram 3500 with 2,000 gigafarts of horsepower. And that brings me to the next reason why I hate driving. There's nothing seedier than the practices of large automotive companies. From poor wages and working conditions for their employees, to union busting, to government lobbying, these companies are willing to do whatever it takes to increase their profit. And us, as the public, suffer for it. Back in the 1900s, before cars were commonplace, the cities were built for people. The only things on the roads were people, horse-drawn carts, vendors, stuff like that. So as more and more cars started to drive on roads that weren't built for them, it caused issues. Pedestrian deaths began to skyrocket, causing people to criticize these dangerous machines, rightfully so. So in response to this, the automotive industry listened to the criticism and started making their cars safer. They sacrificed their profits for the safety of the public. Nah, I'm just fucking kidding. They actually launched a propaganda campaign to spin the narrative and blame the people for getting run over by their cars. This is the time period where jaywalking was coined, jay being a derogatory term meaning country bumpkin or hick. They were basically saying, if you got killed by one of their cars, it's your fault for being stupid and walking in the road, you fucking idiot. Just get out of the fucking road, dumbass. Then these companies started shadily buying up metro railways, ripping them out of the ground and scrapping the train cars to make room for their vehicles. And once their grip on American transportation was firm, they could do whatever the fuck they wanted. From that point on, they could influence how city planners planned the cities out to include infrastructure for vehicles. That's why pretty much all recently designed American cities are unwalkable, because they weren't built for people, they were built for cars. And you might be saying, well, this was over 100 years ago. You know, what makes these companies so bad now? They don't do that stuff anymore, right? Right? And to a certain extent, yeah. They don't so obviously shape American policy now, they do it under the table with lobbying. 2023, General Motors alone spent $14 million on bipartisan campaign contributions to various politicians and governmental groups to influence them. They used their leverage of campaign contributions to skew politicians into passing bills that favor them or to shut down ones that'll hurt the industry. And this isn't just isolated to the automotive industry. The gas and oil industry lobbies a ridiculous amount of money for the same reasons. The more people buying and driving cars means more people buying gas and oil. The politicians make their money, the oil companies make their money, the car companies make their money. Everybody wins! Except for the other 99% of the population. My point being is that these companies have done and will continue to do whatever is in their best interest, completely disregarding the needs of the public. And call me controversial, but I don't think that's okay.
You need to leave!
I am driving a lifted Dodge Ram truck.
Has anyone else noticed that cars are getting fucking huge? Take a look at this graphic. At the top, you have a German Panzer IV tank from World War II, and below that, you have a Ford F-150. Turns out, the Ford is bigger than the fucking tank is. Here's another graph that shows the total volume of cars from different manufacturers, and between 1970 and today, you can see a clear and pretty steep increase in how big cars are now getting. And you might be wondering why this is. Well, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You ready? So the government has rules for how fuel efficient a car needs to be before it can be legally sold. But making a car that's fuel efficient is more expensive and time consuming than making one that isn't, which eats into their profits. However, those laws only apply to cars. If a vehicle is large enough, it's classified as a light truck. And light trucks just so happen to have looser regulation on their fuel efficiency and emissions. In fact, a mere 1 square meter increase in the footprint of a vehicle allows for 2 to 3 more % carbon emissions. Not only can they charge more for larger vehicles, but they save manufacturing costs by not having to make the cars as fuel efficient. And that's why the only car commercials you see nowadays are for the same SUV or truck with different plastic trim on it. And obviously, yeah, these companies can't force people to buy larger trucks, but they don't have to force people to buy them. They just have to make them think they want to buy them through marketing. And that's also why in the same commercials, you see these SUVs surfing the fucking dunes of the Sahara or rock climbing up Mount Everest. When in reality, these cars are purchased by normal people who don't do anything close to that. They are selling the lifestyle image of a brave explorer traversing the hostile environment, when in reality, most of these pavement princesses never leave the asphalt. Yes, I know, some truck owners off-road all of the time and genuinely need that much bed space. But I would argue that most people who buy these large trucks and SUVs just commute back and forth from work and school, and don't need a 3-ton powerhouse that's capable of running over a family of 4 without batting an eye. Because the influx of large vehicles on the road is not only bad for the environment, but it's creating a safety hazard for other vehicles and even pedestrians. In California, with the rise of vehicle heights, we're seeing a direct correlation in the amount of pedestrian deaths involved in auto accidents as a result. This is because pedestrians are 2 times more likely to get killed by an SUV or truck rather than a coupe or a sedan. If you get hit by a smaller car, you'll probably break your legs, roll over the top towards the back of the car. It's gonna hurt, but you probably will live. But if you get hit square on with a 3-ton hunk of all-American steel whose grill is at chest level with you, the impact is centered on your internal organs instead of your legs. You should really count yourself lucky if the driver of the vehicle even sees you, considering some of the blind spots on these larger cars, where a little kid can be 10 feet away from the front of a car and still be in the blind spot. If you look at this image and see nothing wrong, you are the problem. And don't even get me fucking started on those BBL trucks. I have to give you over an hour one way when I go to work, so I spend a lot of the time on the road. And I'm very passionate about these issues because I am directly affected by them. The amount of times I've been blinded by a Ram 5000 with 2 billion lumen headlights positioned directly at eye level is astounding. Or the money I spend each month on paying for and maintaining my car, or the taxes we all pay to maintain the roads, or the hours I've burned away sitting in traffic only just to start moving again like nothing happened. So that's why I like to kill time with today's sponsor, Audible. Audible is an audiobook subscription. I'm just kidding, fuck Audible. You telling me I gotta pay $15 a month to listen to one book? You're fucking crazy. In all seriousness though, I know I sound like a doomer, but there are some very promising things happening with American transportation that I am excited about, like the California High-Speed Rail Project. With California's traffic, we desperately need an alternative to using the freeways. And I'm really excited to see where this project goes. I just hope it doesn't fall through or turn out to be a money laundering scheme, but you never really know with Cali. The New York and LA metro systems are a great example of how we already mediate traffic issues. And if we were to invest more time and energy into those systems, life would be better for everybody. For the people that don't want to drive, you can take a train or a bus to work. For the people that do want to drive, there's less people on the roads, so your driving experience would be better. We have to realize that we all want the same things. We just have to stop letting large corporations fuck us around for their profit. Alright, I'm done ranting. This video has taken me way longer than I thought it would to make, so here are some honorable mentions of stuff that I wanted to include, but didn't feel like it. Anyway, if you disagreed with anything I said in this video, or you think that I'm wrong, go ahead and leave a comment down below so I can ignore it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.